So what was that you said in the last podcast? Something about I could sit around in my underwear at the virtual seminar and watch it because I'm not on camera, unlike what I can do on here. I've got my clothes on. But so
okay, time out. This is a family show. I don't think that's exactly what I said. I think I said something about because you're not on camera, you can enjoy it in the comfort of your home, and you can have on sweats or maybe something like that. But let's keep it PG at least.
There you go. Yeah. So folks, it's great, right? You can, when we do our virtual seminars, it's awesome because you aren't on camera. You are just watching us and, we dress appropriately, which is always nice. But I think it's one of those funny things to where, we don't see any of you. You can see us. So you can pretty much wear your lounge clothes if you want. If you've got your Adidas tracksuit from the 1980s with your, Adidas shoes with no shoestrings in them. Because Dr. Perusich wears that around the house all the time because he lives in Florida. So he walks outside. He's got the gold chains displayed. He's got the Adidas tracksuit on. I know how you come out of the house.
That's totally my vibe. That's
looking
totally
like
me.
Looking like a Chicago gangster.
Yep, that's totally me. That's totally me. Hey, we probably should do a podcast.
Yeah, I think we should. Let's enlighten the people.
Let's do that. All right, everybody. Welcome to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast. We always like to have a little fun up front. I'm Dr. Michael Perusich and my co-host, Dr. Troy Fox. There's always so much that we can talk about. And everybody, if you've listened to this a few times, you realize that Troy and I can take about anything and just kind of run with it. So here's a funny story. And I tell this a lot. So if you heard me tell this already, well, listen again. But Troy and I used to sit around and we'd grab cocktail napkins at seminars and we would make all these plans and ideas and it was not only always fun, but we would take these ideas and go back to our practices and they were amazing ideas. And, so we really learned how to develop really amazing practices.
But I might throw in there that there were a few that were not so amazing either later.
We had some bombs.
They did not age well with time, right? But
we had some bombs. But that's
bunch of them did, yeah.
Hey, in the words of Dr. Troy Fox, it's good in the hood.
It's all good under the hood. That's right.
But we didn't do that without having good business coaches really helping us develop good solid strategies and tactics and saying, hey, no, you guys don't do that, but let's tweak that idea a little bit and go in this direction. So I just want to ask real quick, the question to everybody, chiropractors, do you have a business coach? Everybody needs a coach.
Some people don't think they do, but I will tell you where a lot of our great ideas started at. If I take a step backwards before the bar napkins, there was a pump that was primed. In other words, we probably listened to somebody, we heard what they had to say and what they talked about, and then we collaborated and started going, what if we did this, and wrote it down and went, I could make my practice better doing this. And we did a lot of those things as a result of the pump being primed by a speaker that we listened to or somebody else that had tons of experience and years of experience that gave us something we'd never heard before. I always mention Dr. Jim West, and that I have great love for that guy. I haven't talked to him in years and years. Man, I'd love to have him on our program. He was awesome. That guy threw out things that literally made my head explode. I couldn't write fast enough. You and I were talking about, and a lot of it was patient dialogue. Back in the day where a lot of the patient dialogue was really dry, he had some really cool things to say back in the day. And, I think we've refined and tweaked that over the last 25, 30 years. Golly, has it been that long? 30 years? Yeah. For you, it's only been like 10.
Yeah.
But so we've refined it over those years down to a point of where I think that we have a version of probably what started with Jim West 30 years ago. I think that
we certainly learned a lot from him.
We were inspired by what he said.
It's a great way to put it.
I don't think we use the same verbiage by any means, but we were inspired by what he said and created some really good models. So I think it's so important to have a coach.
Well, it is. And I think and obviously we talk to a lot of people who are looking for coaches, or
Mhm.
we talk to people who don't have coaches, and I hear this a lot. I think there's a misconception sometimes about what business coaching is and how
Mhm.
it can help you. I think a lot of people think it's, trying to use somebody else's system and shove
Mhm.
it into your practice. And I can tell you this right now, if you're trying to be coached by somebody else's vision, it will never work for you.
Mhm.
It won't work for the long term for sure. And you and I both saw that. We at times had coaching that was a little systemic, if you will,
Yeah.
systems based, and we outgrew it. But when you have a true business coach, okay, so what is a true business coach? It's somebody who really understands your business and how to run a business in general, and
Mhm.
can provide oversight, kind of like a board of directors for your business, and help it see things that when you're in the weeds, when you're in the forest, you can't see on your own.
And for all facets of your practice, not just one. There
Right.
were so many times back in the 90s, those of you that have been around for a little while, that dates us a little bit, but there was so much emphasis on new patients and what was the other one? PVA.
PVA.
PVA and new patients, PVA and new, and you'd get focused on one or the other. One group that I worked with focused on new patients, new
Mhm.
patients, new patients. What's the promotion? What are you doing? The next group that I worked with, which was because I became dissatisfied with looking at one statistic consistently
Mhm.
and how I had to get there. The next group that I worked with focused on PVA. Well, all you got to do is increase your PVA. Your
Great. It's
practice
seeing
will
new
be the
patients.
practice of your dream. Yeah. Or you're going to see the patient 1,300 times a year.
Right.
That's how. And so unfortunately,
Such a funny number.
I didn't have a coach that looked at the overall of my practice and all the facets of it. They looked at what I would call a cookie cutter approach to every chiropractic practice, and here's how you make it bigger. And it was whatever the flavor of the day was, or the
Right.
flavor of the decade, quite frankly.
Right.
And some of that stuff worked at times, but to me, here in my mind, a lot of it was a bit gimmicky.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It felt gimmicky to me, and it didn't feel like I had you and I talk about the litmus test all the time.
Mhm.
Is it good for the practice? Is it good for the patient?
Yep.
And I felt like a lot of things that I've been told over the years was good for the practice,
Yep.
but maybe it wasn't as good for the patient. So we want to coach you from a standpoint of the litmus test.
Yep.
The litmus test is very important to us because we care about you, but we also care about chiropractic patients as a whole around the world.
Yep.
And that's very important to us. So that's why we coach the way that we do. That's why we approach all facets of your practice, not just one statistic.
And side B of what you just said about patients all over the world is protecting the chiropractic profession's reputation.
Yes.
And we've had a little bit of a black eye put on us because we were so internally focused, so focused on what's good for the practice and not
Mhm.
both sides of the litmus test.
Yeah.
And so, in that respect, we really pay attention to how we coach our clients and making sure that, number one, it's the patient first. And
Mhm.
number two,
Mhm.
from the patient, how do we create profitability for the doctor and make it
Exactly.
ethical? And I'm telling you, it's not a system. It's coming into your practice, finding out what your vision is, what kind of patients do you see, what techniques do you do. I mean, we look at every aspect of the practice
Yeah.
and unwind it, and then we monitor the practice, not by hearing one number, not by hearing how many new patients you've had. Quite frankly, I don't care how many new patients you've had. For the most part, we don't look at,
Mhm.
we're not stuck on PVA. That could be a song. I'm stuck on. I won't sing. Um, we're not stuck on PVA. We look at a true business statistical model of your practice. We do trending forecasts and all kinds of things. Because what do I always say, Troy? The numbers are black and white. They never lie to you.
That's exactly right. And we'll be able to see immediately where maybe if you're juggling 5 balls, you've dropped one. And
Right.
that's important. I don't want to wait until the whole thing comes crashing down.
Right.
I want to know when one ball dropped. And that's
And here's
important to me.
That's right. And here's the thing. It's kind of like the Christmas tree. If you got packages all around the Christmas tree and a ball drops off the back of the Christmas tree, when do you find it? You find it when you put the Christmas tree away. We want to find the dropped ball immediately, because the more of those dropped balls we keep in the air and working for you, the more effective your practice is going to run. You'll have less chaos. And so we can see those kind of things when you can't.
And I can tell you a secret about this too, that if you have a patient-driven practice, meaning that the focus is on the patient. When I said that litmus test, I mean, obviously from our standpoint, it has to be a profitable thing. I can't say, well, you know, what's really good for the patient is that I spend an hour with each patient and I see 8 a day. Well, I wouldn't have a practice very long. So it's not very good for the business to do that. But if I look at it and say it's good for the patient to understand why they're under care in my office and allow them to be part of that decision-making process, if that's part of my litmus test, and now I'm bringing the patient into that process, man, you want to talk about creating some buzz around your practice. That's huge. It's blow your mind huge when your patients get involved in the process and then they start telling their friends why they need to come see Dr. X.
Yeah,
right.
It's such a great point. Such a great point. I'm going to give you an applause for that.
Oh, look at that. I love it. I love it. I got an applause for that one. But that's what's important. That's why coaching is important, is because we can see these trends. Number one, we can come in and look at your practice and you may be embarrassed. Some people are embarrassed to show us, or, you know, I don't want to show you my numbers. My numbers are, hey, we've seen them all.
About it.
It's like a parent working with a child. I'm not going to be upset with anybody that at least makes a valid attempt. If you don't know where you're going in your practice and you don't have a focus, which brings me back to what I was going to talk about a minute ago. I get distracted sometimes too, but here's the thing. You said something a minute ago. Here's where you have to start. And folks, if you haven't done this, go home and do it today. What is your vision for your practice? I can tell you, and it should be short and to the point, right? It doesn't need to be a small book on what your vision is. Here's my vision. Get patients better in capital letters about this big. Keep patients better in capital letters this big. Now, ours is a little bit longer because it's keep the patients of Hillsborough, Kansas and Marion County, because that's where we're at. You know, get those patients better, keep those patients better. And I even tell our patients what our vision statement is. And I told them, and we are going to, here in the next few weeks, put that vision statement on the wall behind our front desk. That's our, I say vision. That's our mission statement. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Vision, mission. Yeah.
Vision, mission. They rhyme.
Yeah, they do. But so I think it's important that you understand what your mission is to patients.
Absolutely.
So even if you want to call it your vision.
You know, and that's again, going back to what we do. And I'm not trying to make this a commercial about us, but one of the things that we help doctors with, what True Business Consulting can help you with, is really uncovering your strengths and your weaknesses to then take that and help you reach your goals faster. And if you're just lumbering along and you don't know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and I can tell you this, and I can't remember exactly how he says it, but Coach K, the famous basketball coach from Duke University, Coach K talks about the fact that he can see things in people that they can't see in themselves. And when he shows them film of the players playing and he points out these things, it's a complete revelation for these players. And that's why they really get better and better and better. I think it was Michael Jordan always talked about the fact that he watched game films, not so much to see what the other team was doing, to see what he was doing. Not because he was egotistical, but so he could make himself better. Didn't you also say Coach K also recorded practices? Yeah. Recorded practices. I mean, not just games, but in practice, so he could help players see the potential. It's not just to break someone down, but it's also to show them the potential that they have. That's where coaching really comes into play. That's what coaching is all about. Absolutely. So the other thing I hear spinning off of that is I hear some doctors say, well, coaching is too expensive. Okay, hold on. Time out. Yeah. I understand the fear of paying for something that might not work or you might not use, like
Mhm.
equipment that you've bought and you
Like
never used it.
like that $100,000 piece of equipment that you're now contemplating buying because you think it'll make your practice grow. Okay.
Right, right. So you have to think of coaching as an investment. And I'm just going to make up a number. If you're paying $300 or $400 a month for coaching, here's
Hmm.
how you know if it's valuable. Is it bringing $3,000 or $4,000 more of revenue into your practice, or
Hmm.
even 10,000 more, or even
Hmm.
15,000 more? And what if a coach can help you find that extra revenue right from month one? It would that be a good deal? If I came to you and said, Troy, if you give me $300 a month, I'm going to give you back 4,000 a month.
So where do I sign up? And is that something we're going to do right after the podcast?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh, it makes perfect sense. And the thing is, when you gain that money, what do you also do? You also enhance your practice, which enhances your position in the community, which enhances your ability to help more patients. It's a snowball effect when you do
Yeah.
the right thing.
You're improving the lives not only of you and your family, but your staff and their family, your patients and their families, and your community. Wow. Coaching sounds like a win-win to me.
It's a huge deal.
But you have to think of it from an investment standpoint. And you have to make sure that you pick a coach that understands what you want your business to do. And this
Hmm.
this is the thing I find a lot is there are a lot of, obviously I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of consultants and coaches, and if you're just listening to this, I'm using air quotes,
Yeah.
who want you to do something that worked in their practice 20, 25, 30 years ago. Okay.
Hmm.
I can tell you right now that the business world changes, and it changes at a very rapid pace. There's a book I read a long time ago called Managing at the Speed of Change, and it talks about the fact that because of innovation and technology and all these factors that are happening in the marketplace, that any business is changing constantly. I mean, think about it. 15 years ago, we were using what for notes? We were using the travel card.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I know we all just heard harps from heaven when I say travel card because it was a beautiful thing. But where
Yeah.
are we at today? We're not using travel cards
No.
today. We're on electronic health records today. So
Right.
the wave of motion should be pushing your business forward and not holding you back. And if you don't have a coach that's helping you see that roadmap, that path ahead of you, and you can't see it when you're in patient care all day long, you don't have time to do the research that we do
Right. Right.
on where the industry is going, the trends are going, the consumer buying habits are going, the compliance is going. So that coach then becomes, again, I'll go back to your board of directors. It's the person making sure that your stock value, if you will, is staying up. That's why big companies have boards of directors. It's to maintain help maintain the value of the company while the CEOs and the presidents and all those people run the day-to-day operations. You got to have that oversight.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot because I think you brought up an important topic, and every day on my Facebook, I see somebody now they're a chiropractic consultant, or I see somebody that's going to bring me 150 new patients and I don't pay anything until they pay. I'm like, every day there's still more, and I won't call it all gimmicky. My question to you. So I'm going to ask you, and you're going to give an answer, and I know you'll come up with this easily. So I would highly suggest any of you listening to this that are not getting coaching right now, that you don't just click the button on our website. Don't immediately click the button. Well, yes, do click it, but here's why you're going to click it, because you're going to interview several coaches before you make a decision. You're going to compare pricing and all that, but you're going to interview several coaches and you're going to ask 3 questions. I want to keep this simple enough that you can just bang, bang, bang. what are the top 3 questions, Dr. Perusich, that you would ask today if you were going to receive coaching in your practice and you wanted to make sure that you had a quality coach on board that was going to work with you? What are the 3 questions that you would ask? And I would ask at least one of those questions to be a question that's going to be one where I know that you've given me commitment. All right.
It's a great question. And you're only giving me 3.
Yeah, I thought we could do like 18 and nobody'd remember.
Yeah, right.
So I thought, okay, top 3. Now you can add more to this, or you could talk to Dr. Perusich and interview him, and then say, what other questions would you ask? Because I liked your answers or whatever. But let's do 3.
Okay, let's do 3. But first,
Yeah.
I'm getting the signal over here. We got to take a quick short break
All right.
for a word from our sponsor. So hang on to that. We'll come back and we'll talk about the 3 questions. We'll be right back. Here's a quick message from our sponsor, KC Chiropractic Business Advisors.
Sometimes all your business needs is a little push. KC Chiropractic Business Advisors, we help make your business better.
All right, everybody, we are back. And Troy, you put me on the spot a little bit, but I love it. Challenge me.
Yep.
Challenge me. So you want me to give out my top 3 questions that you should be asking of coaches that you're interviewing?
Yes, I think it's a great idea.
Okay, so here we go. The first thing is, what do you know about business? Not chiropractic. I want to know what you know about business, because when I hire a coach, I want to put on my entrepreneur hat, and I want to know that you're going to be able to actually help me grow a business.
Good first one. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
Made it through that one. Okay.
Drum roll. Number 2. Oh,
right.
Are you going on with number 1?
No, I'm going on to number 2.
Okay.
I thought about doing bullets under all these so I could get like 18 things in there. But I'll stick to the 3.
The KISS principle.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next one would be, how will you help me coordinate my team, my staff, so that we're all working together, developing goals, developing patient communication strategies, those kind of things, so that we're all moving the practice forward together, not just me.
Right. I
That's
love
number
that
2.
one too.
Is that a good one?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Then number 3 might be a little bit of a toss-up. Number 3 probably is.
Can I tell you a secret? I was going to give you a bonus one when this is over.
Okay, great. I get a bonus.
If you want, okay, so you can do 3 and a bonus.
Okay, I'll do 3 and a bonus. So here's number 3. How are you going to help me monitor my practice to know if an issue is starting to happen? We got an oil leak, whatever it might be. How are you going to help me monitor it?
And if they say through PVA or new patients run, is that how that works?
Yeah, hang up.
Yeah. All right.
You don't even have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And so your bonus one, again, kind of some toss-ups here. I probably would ask about, what are your thoughts about creating profitability in a practice?
Yeah, because that one is so open-ended that they will literally have to dig and answer that question from the bottom of their heart and their mind, because that's a big one. I mean, if you asked me that question and I was going to coach you, I could probably talk for the next 30 minutes just about profitability and some of my ideas. Yeah. And some of the ideas I put in place and some that I still have in the chamber ready to go.
And here's the answers you want to avoid if you ask that question. You want to avoid answers like, well, if you sell this product, or if you get this table, or if you start doing this service, okay, you might be able to make it work, but is it your vision? Is it your vision to change your practice like that?
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to put this, but you got to put your gimmick goggles on and make sure that you're watching for the gimmicks, because true business consulting, it has no gimmicks. It's not about gimmicks. It's about let's dive in,
Yeah.
let's roll our sleeves up, and let's dig into the numbers. Let's dig into your compliance. Let's dig into your staff development. Let's dig into your marketing. Let's dig into your stats. I think I already said that. Let's dig into your communication strategies. Let's dig into how the marketplace perceives you.
Mhm.
Let's drill down on your goals. Let's figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. Let's find out what your target market is. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to answer in 4 questions. I love the idea, though. You pressed me on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I pressed you on that because I know you well enough to know, because you and I can both literally write a 30-minute PowerPoint in about 3 minutes.
Right.
So I knew I'd squeeze you hard. But I think in the future, what we need to talk about in a podcast as well, because you're going to have somebody that's going to call you. And here's the question they're going to ask. And we don't have time to cover all this today, but they're going to ask you this question. Doc, I get what you're saying. I understand you want to help me with my business, but I live in a dog-eat-dog big city where people jump from one chiropractor to the another as soon as there's a new patient special comes out, on Facebook this week. And you and I have talked about this, and I think we have a really solid answer for this. But those are the folks, I think, sometimes that are really worried about getting business consulting because they're afraid there is no answer.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid that there is no answer because them and every competitor that they have around them are doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get as many new patients as they can in the door because they know they're going to lose them within 2 weeks. If you're that person, we need to talk.
And the answer is easy. I'm not going to give it away.
Yep. We need to talk.
But yeah, the answer is easy. And so if you are in that situation, don't feel despair about where your practice is. And we hear this too sometimes. Well, nothing works in my area because of, maybe an issue like what you just said. You can have a great chiropractic practice and a fantastic profitable business wherever you want to put it. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you manage it, how you run it, and how you connect with people. That's what matters.
Now, if you put your practice in the middle of a forest 100 miles from the nearest town, I will agree. It doesn't work in my area. But we have not seen a town anywhere in the United States where solid business principles don't work. That's how other businesses in your area have survived. Folks, chiropractic is mainstream. It's not this thing where you have to gimmick people in your door anymore to then explain to them what chiropractic is. Chiropractic is mainstream. Let's get rid of the gimmicks and let's use real business knowledge, real solid building blocks of business principles to be successful. And you know what? You'll be happier.
Absolutely.
Everybody wants to be happy.
You'll be happy and you'll be profitable, and your family will love you. You guys will have a fantastic lifestyle. You'll be doing great things in your community. And I even have an answer for the practice that's out in the middle of the forest, 100 miles from any town. You become an animal chiropractor.
Well, there you go. They'll all come running to you. Raccoons, bobcats. Those bobcats I hear are pretty tough to adjust, though. Yeah, sometimes they get a little cranky.
I used to have bobcats in my backyard all the time.
Did you ever try to adjust one?
I did not. I did not. They had big teeth. I did not.
So from now on, Dr. Perusich is the Bobcat Whisperer.
I don't know about that. But anyway, so I love this conversation. So if you're thinking about coaching, or if you just want to look into coaching, give us a call. Go check us out on catsconsultants.com. But I'll tell you this: find the right coach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'll tell you something about us. We don't accept everybody into our program. Mm-hmm. We just don't accept everybody. There are things, we know what our limitations are. Number one, we also talk to some doctors who just aren't ready from a mindset standpoint for coaching. So if you're ready to be open about your practice, if you're willing to listen to the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you're willing to make some changes and really get a hold of your practice and really find out where it's at and where you want it to go and a roadmap to get it there, that's what we do. So go check us out at catsconsultants.com. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And by the way, we appreciate you listening. to our ramblings. And hey, we've come a long way from the cocktail napkin days. When you go to Cats Consultants, join us on Facebook. We got a couple of different groups on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on TikTok. We're on, I don't even know what we're on. I don't even handle the marketing stuff. So we're everywhere. Just go find us. Go find us. Check us out. We've got a lot of free stuff on our website. Get to know us. Come join us at one of our virtual seminars. You can sign up for those on our website. Come to one of our live events. Just give us a call. If you want to do a breakthrough session and just spend a half hour talking about your practice and what we do, and you want a shoulder to cry on for just a minute, whatever it is, give us a call. We're happy to jump on the phone with you guys. And those of you that do call every week after our podcast, I love that. That's what we do. We have very successful practices. Troy's still in the day-to-day of practices sometimes. So is Alex, so is Kelly. I'm not actually in the clinic anymore, but we own practices, we run practices, we help hundreds of doctors every year turn their practices into solid gold. So I'm going to get off my soapbox about that. Anything else, Troy?
I think we're good, man. I hope some people interview you, because I think you've got really great answers. And you know what? I hope that other coaches out there that want to help you, say they want to help you, have some good answers as well.
Absolutely.
We don't want to be the only ones that are helping.
No.
We think we're really good at what we do, but if somebody else gives you better answers than we can give you, go for it. That's why I'm not afraid to have people interview us, because we definitely know where our sweet spot is, and it involves that litmus test. It's got to be good for the patients and for you. And if it is, you're going to be happy. Like I said, happy practice, happy life, right?
Yep.
No, it's happy wife, happy life. But same thing with the practice. There you go. Because you're married to your practice too, by the way.
Absolutely.
Most of the time. Yep.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for a coach, make sure you find the one that fits you. If you don't quite understand coaching, happy to talk you through it. Just remember, it's a great investment in your practice and you. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the KC CHIROpulse Podcast, brought to you by Cats Consultants, helping doctors keep their pulse on success. From all of us here at Cats, we'll see you next time.
See y'all later.